Okay, so this video is sponsored by Bintang, the drink of champions. And for any expat who's lived in Jakarta, we all love a Bintang. So today's video was supposed to be specifically on the Patton brothers, who I believe, of the four brothers, would bring out what Jakarta was all about. But I've decided to kind of spread my wings and discuss expat life. And first of all, what I'm going to state is that the expats had three major phases, and the first phase were the first generation. Now these guys started in around 74, 75 and led up to about 85. This is the first generation of expats. Some amazing guys, and I met them all, or pretty much everyone. You had Graham James, the Aussie. Oh my God, his parties were like nothing you would see even on Wolf of Wall Street. I'm sorry. And then you had Scott and Sonny, the American-Canadian duo. They own schools, and of course they fight each other at the end. And then you'd have John Reed, a very such a typical Englishman. And there are tons more. There are seriously tons more. And luckily, when I came in '86, they were still around and they were still quite powerful. They were well into, these were the guys. They'd made their money on land. They'd made their money on the schools. They'd made all sorts. So, as well as these guys, so the first group of expats primarily were European, American, and Japanese. And it's very important to differentiate between the groups, because the Japanese and later the Koreans, they generally stick together and wouldn't mingle so much. The Japanese didn't bring wives, by the way, the Koreans did. So the Japanese got up to naughty stuff in the evenings. But the Koreans, when they came in the second phase, and they came hugely, they did mingle a little. But as I say, possibly the majority of us came between around 85 to 2000. Believe it or not, Nick Leeson was one of them. And in the movie Rogue Trader, I love the line where he's talking to his will-be wife, and don't look at the scene because the scene's bullshit. Jakarta never looked like that, though he's drinking Bintang. And he says to her, I had to look on the map to see where Jakarta was. And she goes, oh, me too. And it's so true. I think you ask the majority of the expats who came and lived in Jakarta, they didn't know about Jakarta when they came. Okay, so neither here nor there. We're looking now at the second generation. So let's go back to the first for a moment. The first generation, as I say, this 10-year gap, they may have had between them about 200 or 300 mixed kids. The second generation, these are the guys who came between 85 and 2000. They had 2,000, 3,000, 5,000 mixed kids. And the mixed kids, to me, are a very interesting part of the game, because one thing I learned when I used to watch and observe the mixed kids, the girls, my God, not only were they pretty, they had personality. But the boys, sorry, but they weren't that smart, and they didn't have that much personality. But why? Okay, so I believe that your genes, your brain, and your personality switch each time. So, believe it or not, if you're a man, your brain and your personality goes to the girl, vice versa. Now, so let's go back to the second generation and the Patton brothers. But before we do, I would like to mention a couple of things. For the people of the second generation, there were two things in Jakarta, well, 3, 4, that was so different to what happens now. One, traffic. I remember Sundays, there was no traffic. I remember you'd go to Chemchicks, and if you didn't meet people, Chemchicks, by the way, was the place to go for groceries. If you didn't meet someone you knew, you didn't really live in Jakarta. Anyway, let's finish on the Patton brothers. There were four brothers, and why I mention the Patton brothers is because, to me, Netflix and Amazon, they screw up. There's, oh, let's do Ed Gain, let's do Lizzie Borden. Bollocks. Come to Jakarta. Tell the story of Jakarta. There are so many personalities, and one reason why I push the Patton brothers, you could do it within these four brothers. You could tell the whole story of Jakarta.